being live streamed. By staying in this meeting, you consent live stream. Anyone live stream can watch or share with others.
Hare Krishna everyone. I welcome you all to our second session of Bhagavad Gita crash course. Thank you
Hare
very
Krishna.
much everyone for joining today.
Hare Krishna. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna Shravani. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So today our topic will be the topic of science of soul. Last week, our first session, we covered the introduction to Bhagavad Gita. We basically understood what Bhagavad Gita is all about, how many shlokas are there, who wrote it, and why
Yeah.
we should be reading Bhagavad Gita, and why should be applying the principles of Bhagavad Gita. So, in Bhagavad Gita, the one of the thing we discussed, the main point was that Bhagavad Gita has solution to all our problems. The Arjuna, he was in great difficulty. He was just about to start a war, and he wasn't sure whether to fight or not fight, and he had so many questions he had, and Arjuna removed all his doubts and difficulties. So our conclusion was that if Krishna can sort out the problems of Arjun, and his problems were humongous, huge problems were there. If Bhagavad Gita can sort out Arjuna's problem, surely Bhagavad Gita can sort out my problems as well. So today, what we'll do is that in the beginning, we'll understand what was the questions Arjuna is asking, and what is the first answer to the question to Arjuna. And then we will talk about the soul, and also in the second section we'll also talk about the relationship between body and the soul, because the soul is residing in the body. So we'll talk about that one. So we'll quickly start now. So in the Bhagavad Gita, the first chapter and second chapter, it has got all the questions of Arjuna. Arjuna asking so many questions to Krishna that Krishna, I do not know whether I should fight or not fight. And he gives the reason why he does not want to fight. He is there ready to fight, but he has reasons why not to fight. So he is in indecision, he is in confusion. So he's asking all these questions. So we'll go through his Arjuna's question one by one. And we'll see the rather than the topic of the question, what was exactly Arjuna was feeling for this question. Just before that, we'll just do a little small Mangalacharan, and then we'll start. Om Agyantimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. So let's look at the various questions that Arjuna is asking, and we have the heading for each questions. What feeling he's having for those questions. So first, Arjuna is very compassionate person. As a compassionate person, he don't want to hurt anyone. So Arjuna is saying that he does not want to kill his loved ones. That in the opposite army, there are all my relatives are there, and I do not want to kill them. So not only relatives, why does he wants to kill even any other innocent person? So he is feeling compassion, and it is a good feeling. Everybody should be compassionate. And then he's saying can't enjoy kingdom after killing friends and relatives. So if I kill them, how can I enjoy my kingdom? So that means, his enjoyment is in trouble. That even if I fight, I will not be enjoying. Everybody wants to enjoy in this world, but even after fighting the war, he will not be able to enjoy because he has killed his own friends and relatives. And then, not only that, now he is thinking long-term implications of fighting the war. So he's saying, with this war, the destruction of the family will take place. So many family will be broken because millions of people will die in this war. Uh, and so he's saying mass killing of Kshatriya will give rise to irreligion because Kshatriyas, they are in charge of law and order. When law and order system breaks down, the irreligion or the unwanted elements in the society, they come into power. They rise in the society. So there is no law and order will take place, and then unprotected women will be exploited because so many men will die in the war. There will not be anyone to protect the women, and the unscrupulous people, they'll exploit the women, and because of that exploitation there will be unwanted progeny. There are unwanted children they will take place in the society, and they will not be given enough education because they're unwanted, they will not be looked after. And then he is thinking even further implications. He's saying no shraddha for forefathers because the family system has broken down. Our forefathers who are in the other worlds, there will be no shraddha. Shraddha is a ceremony where you make arrangement from this world so that they have a comfortable living on the other worlds. And that means the whole system is completely breaking down. The system in the this world and system in the paraloka, in the heavenly planets, even that will break down. So these are the questions Arjuna is feeling. So basically, he's compassionate. He's saying my compassion is in danger. I cannot enjoy, and there are long-term implications of fighting this war. And then his questions continues. So he's saying that killing is a sinful business because of his killing so many people. There will be sinful reactions. And what are those sinful reactions? For killing superiors and so many others. So not only killing another person is a sinful activity, but killing superiors, in the opposite army, superiors like Bhishma and Drona, who are his great grandfather and his teachers, he has to kill those. So disrespecting them or killing them, it is a sinful reaction. So many sinful reactions will come along, and because of that, the whole system will break down. The social system will break down, and it is said that there is no great sinful activity than breaking down the social system. When you break the law, when you destroy the law and order system in the society, so many people are affected by that. So that is a sinful activity. So he's saying this war will bring about huge sinful reaction. Uh, and then he's saying, Krishna, I really don't know whether I should fight or not fight. And why he's saying, and he's saying, what is better, conquer or getting conquered by Duryodhana? I really don't know whether I should fight and be victorious or let Duryodhan or the opposite party conquer me. I really do not know. He is not able to take decision because of so many reasons he gave. And then he's saying, kingdom is flourishing, then why war? The war, it is not because uh, there are some economical financial problem. The other party is a quite capable administrator of the kingdom. Then why war? Uh, well, Krishna wanted a war because yatha raja tatha praja. If the king is the irreligious person, then he will just promote irreligious activity. But he was saying here Arjuna is not sure whether he should fight war because actually there is no administrative problem. Then why there is a war? So basically he is indecisive. He does not know whether he should act or not act. So these are some of the questions that Arjuna is posing. And similarly, we also have similar kind of questions in our life. Uh, Sometimes whether we do not know whether should be compassionate in the society or not society. A beggar comes, whether you want to give some food, or how should we deal with these beggars. And there are so many poor people in this world, how we deal with them. Enjoyment, how we can enjoy in a way that it is not hurting anybody else. uh, Whether to use less plastic or whether to use the clothes which is manufactured in poor country but in the very unhealthy condition, whether so how we can enjoy so without hurting anybody else in the society. uh, and whatever activity I do in this world, uh, what are these implications in this world, so how to act in this world. And then we always know what is sinful and what is pious. What are the sinful activities? Sometimes some activities which look sinful on the front, but it may help somebody else. Or sometimes some activity looks very pious, but actually it's a sinful activity. We really don't know what is sinful activity, what is pious activity. So basically, we do not know how to act in this society. uh, So we all have these similar kind of questions in the society. So all these questions, there are many questions Arjuna is asking, but we'll just uh, uh, pick just the some points in the of Krishna's Arjuna's questions. Now, after Arjuna has asked so many questions to Krishna he starts answering the addressing the questions of Arjuna. Now, this is the first Krishna speaks in Bhagavad Gita. After Arjuna poses so many questions, this is the first word of Krishna in reply to Arjuna's question. So, what is Krishna saying? Dehosmin yatha dehe komaram yauvanam jara tatha dehantara praptir dhiras tatra na muhyati. This is a Sanskrit shloka. It means, as the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. So Krishna, he is telling a very universal truth. He says, as the embodied soul continuously passes in this body. So Krishna is making a distinction that this body is not on its own. There is a soul residing in it. So soul is a constant factor. So it's an embodied soul continuously passes. This soul is passing in this body. And what are the stages this body is passing from? From boyhood to youth to old age. So we have all experienced that we were child. Sometimes we were very young. After that, and then slowly we are getting old. We have all experienced it. The person inside, it is still the constant person, but the body is changing, but person inside is not changing. Then Krishna is saying the soul similarly passes to another body at death. So the soul, once this body is not usable, then soul is passing to another body. And then Krishna is saying a sober person is not bewildered by such a change. He says a sober person, a person who is in knowledge, he is not bewildered by such change. We are not bewildered when we from childhood, from boyhood to we go into the young age. We are not that bewildered. And then from boyhood to old age, again we are not. Body is changing, but we are fine with that. Similarly, when the soul passes to another body, which is the death, when we pass to another body, a sober person is not bewildered by such a change. So here, one may ask questions that Krishna, why is he giving this philosophy of changing body, of soul and the body, to the answers posed by Arjuna? Arjuna is saying, I don't know whether I should be compassionate, whether I should fight the war, uh, and what kind of active, whether this is the right and just war or not. So one may ask question that actually it appears like a irrelevant answer. Krishna is not directly addressing the answer, the questions of Arjuna. Arjuna is saying, that family will be in danger. There will be sinful reactions. And all these arguments are there. And Krishna is saying, Arjuna, soul is passing through the various stages of the body. And when body changes, a sober person is not bewildered by that. Now, one may ask, this answer seems not relevant to the questions of Arjuna. But my dear friend, this is the master key. This is the answer to all our problems that we face in our life. And we'll go through the next few slides, how this is the answer to all the questions that we have in our life. And that basically it is once we understand the science of soul, then we will be able to crack all the problems of our life, all difficulties, all these indecisions, all the the clarity that we lack in our actions. It will all be sorted once we understand the science of the soul. So when we talk about the soul, I just assuming or taking the liberty of assuming that we none of us in this assembly has a problem understanding whether we are soul or not. Is everybody okay with that, or shall we uh, spend some time on the existence of soul? Well, I'll just go it anyway. We'll just rather than going in detail the proof of the soul exists or not, we'll just very slowly take one or 2 points. So let's go scientifically whether the soul exists or not. I think some of our audience today, they are from the medical field. So it is explained in the medical science that our body is made up of tiny cells. The cells are produced, they stay for some time, and then the cells are destroyed. Maximum a cell can stay is 7 years. So one can easily and safely say that every 7 years, practically you have a new body. The 7 years before, the cells that we had in our body, none of this cell is existing. So actually our body is completely brand new, what it was there 7 years before. So that is the change of the body. Body is changing constantly, and every 7 years, practically we have a body which is completely distinct from the body 7 years before. So if body is changing, but the person is still same, we still I know I was 5 year old. My mother used to take me to the school. I had my friends in the school. I was a small baby carrying my school bag, and then I was grown up. I went to the university and college. I had different sets of friends. But that body is different. I do not look any way closer to what I was there before. The body is completely gone. Body is changed. The person inside it is still the same. The body is changed, but something inside is not changed, and that person who is not changed, it is the soul. So scientifically, we can come to the conclusion that the body is changing. Body is constantly changing, but there is a constant thing inside who is dwelling in this body. A person. That person is the soul. So this is the fundamental understanding of the existence of the soul. That soul, as Krishna said in Adhyaya Sloka, embodied soul, a soul who is residing in the body, it is constantly passing through the change. Hmm. So this is just one example or the one proof of the existence of the soul. And this and science is universal. Science, it is, scientific conclusions, they are not different for different race or religion or country or a different species. It is constant for everyone. And the value of pi, whatever it is there in India, it is same value is there in the America and in England. uh, the law of gravity, it is equal everywhere. So science, it is not different for a different community or different people. Science is constant. The conclusions of science, they are always constant. So this is the universal science, the science of soul. Uh, Everybody is changing their body. Everybody is passing from the different stages of the life, from the boyhood to youth to the old age. Uh, a Hindu is passing through the same procedure. A Muslim also passing through the same procedure. Same as a Christian or Jew or a Parsi or a Jain. Anybody. Uh, we are all passing through the same stage. The soul is constantly passing through the different stages of the body. So this is the universal science. It is not applicable to just people who believe in Bhagavad Gita, or they are trying to apply the principles of Bhagavad Gita. This is a universal science. So principles which are described in Bhagavad Gita, these are the universal principles. It does not apply just to India or people living in India or in anywhere else. It is applicable to everyone. Hmm. So basically, it is not specific to any race or a religion. It is universal principle, and this is the foundation for understanding Bhagavad Gita. Uh, the Bhagavad Gita you can only understand if you understand the science of soul. If we do not understand the science of soul, none of the things which is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita will make any sense to us. We have to understand basically who we are. So unless you understand the science of soul, uh, the various other topics of who is God and what is his phenomenal world, what is are the activities I'm supposed to do, and what is the time, it will not make any sense to us. So this is the foundation of Bhagavad Gita. If you want to understand Bhagavad Gita, first you have to understand what is the soul. So we'll go for it from now on. So now let's make one fundamental conclusion or lesson, understand one lesson, the first lesson of Bhagavad Gita. So if you understand this lesson, then only all other lessons will make sense. Otherwise, nothing will make sense after this point onwards. So what is the first lesson? First lesson is some fireworks. We are not this body. This is the first teaching of Bhagavad Gita. We are not this body. The body is constantly changing, but the person inside is the same. So we are not this body, and we can scientifically we can prove that we are not this body. We are different than the body. So if I'm not the body, then who are we? We are a spirit soul. This is the first lesson that Bhagavad Gita teaches us. So various questions that Arjuna is asking, Krishna is replying with this fundamental understanding. Arjun, first you have to understand the basics of spiritual life. That Arjun, you are not this body, you are a spirit soul. Understand this first, and then I'll explain you the higher science relating to the soul and the characteristics of soul and how we can act in this world, considering that you are a soul in this world. If this part is not clear, that I am not this body, I am a spirit soul, then whatever we'll learn in the future sessions, it will not make sense. So everybody, please, close your eyes and try to assimilate this first lesson of Bhagavad Gita. that I am not this body, I am a spirit soul. This is the foundation of Bhagavad Gita, and actually it is the key to all the questions, all the difficulties, all the indecisions that we have in our life. If we can realize this, if we can understand this lesson, then our life, so many locks of our life will be unlocked, and life will be wonderful to live. And you will see in Bhagavad Gita, when you read Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada writes in practically in every other page in Bhagavad Gita, same principle. We are not this body, we are a spirit soul. We are not this body, we are spirit soul. Because root of all our problem is that we are identifying ourselves with this body. We are not identifying with the soul. So, just one more time, just learn this lesson and put it in your heart. I am not this body, I am a spirit soul. This is the first teaching of Bhagavad Gita, the foundation of Bhagavad Gita, that we are not this body, we are a spirit soul. I think I've gone through enough. Let's move on to the next one. Now, why this understanding, it is so important? And this is the foundation of teaching, and see why this foundation is so important. So, to understand our real identity, that unless we understand who exactly we are, so many questions and problems in our life, we'll not be able to sort it out if we understand what exactly I am, what is my real identity. If we don't get our basics right, then all the complex things we cannot sort out. So get the basic right. This is the first step in the equation. Those remember, in our school days, when we are understanding mathematical equations and scientific formulas, we are given formulas and we are asked to normalize. And in normalization, you have to get, first step, second step, third step, fourth step, fifth step, and it's so many steps are there. If our first step is wrong, then no matter how many steps we have correct steps later on, all our steps will be wrong. So this is the basic understanding of Bhagavad Gita. This is the first step in understanding the Bhagavad Gita. If this first step is not understood, then none of the next following steps will not make any sense to us. And this is the root cause, because in our medical science, first treating the disease, we have to understand what is the diagnosis, what exactly is the problem. So root of all our problem is rogue identity is the root cause of all problems. We have misidentified ourselves, and that is the root cause of all our problems. When I'm repeating again, all means all our problems. The root cause is misidentification with this body. So what is this wrong identity? We'll just go through this very important point again. This rogue identity is I am this body. And once we have this rogue identity, what do we do next? Any action with rogue identity causes misery. Because our first identity itself is wrong, then whatever action you take after that, those actions will have the negative results, because your identity itself is wrong. And I'll just say example of football match. In England we have one of the sport which is famous is the football. So in football, for example, we are in Stoke. Our local football team is Stoke City. So I'm living in Stoke. So if my team it is winning, then I'm very happy. But my team is not winning all the time. Sometimes Manchester United is winning. So then you say, okay, I'll identify myself with I support Manchester United. So you start supporting Manchester United. But then you say, even this team is not always winning. So I'll go to other team. I'll start supporting Liverpool. And then after that, I'll start supporting some London team, Arsenal, or so forth and so on. But wherever you go, your team is not always winning. You're always in misery because you are trying to identify with a another identity or another person. You are not even playing a football. You are just a person. I am Radha Mohan Das, and Stoke City is a different object. They win or lose actually doesn't make any difference to me. But because I'm identifying with that team, that gives me misery or that gives me the joy. Mostly the misery because not my team is not always winning. But to enjoy, keep supporting different teams. So that misidentification with various external objects, it gives the misery. So when we are identifying ourselves with our body, that is a misidentification. Soul is distinct from the body, because we are identifying ourselves with this body, not as a soul, that is the root cause to all our problems. Okay, I have to go a little fast. We have quite a few slides to go through. Now, why it is a foundation? Now you must have heard a word called Maya. Maya, it is a Sanskrit word. Actually, it is means that which is not. Ma-ya. Ma means not, ya means that exists. That which is not. So in English word, it is called illusion. Illusion is that you see something which actually does not exist. So actually, we are all in Maya. When we identify ourselves with this body, we are in Maya. How come? We are in illusion when we identify with the body. Because we are not the body. We are a spirit soul. But still we identify ourselves with the body, which we are not. So that is Maya. You are in illusion. You think you are so and so. This body, it is Indian or it is male or it is belonging to Stoke. It is the identity of the body. Your real identity is that you are a spirit soul. So if you identify ourselves with the body, we are in Maya. We are in illusion. Why we are in illusion? Because we are not this body. So understand, that an illusion is not always good. Illusion is not always, all the time it is bad. When we are in illusion, it just gives problem. So if we are if we are identifying ourselves with the body, that means we are in Maya, we are in illusion. And understanding and identifying our body, ourselves with the body, it is a disease. You can say, oh my Lord, we are going too far. Identifying myself as the body is a disease. Let's see what kind of disease is this. For example, if I say I'm a king of England, or ladies will say, I'm the queen of England, which we are not. Queen Elizabeth, she is the queen of England. But if I'm identifying myself as the king or the queen of England, which we are not, and if I start going out, if I go on the bus, or a taxi and say, see, I'm the king of England, what do you think? How people will react to my proposition that I'm a king of England? They'll think I'm a mentally diseased person. Because I'm identifying myself as a king, which I am not. But you think you are a king and you are behaving like a king, you are acting like a king, which you are not. It is a mental disease. If you do it too much, police will come, or they'll section will put you in mental hospital. So identifying ourselves with the body, actually it is a disease. In Sanskrit it is called bhavarog. Roga means disease and bhava means this whole world, sansar, the material world. This is the disease of this taking the birth again and again in this material world. It's called bhavarog. And unless in disease condition, nobody is happy. Can anybody see that I'm having some disease and I enjoy that disease? Nobody is happy in the diseased. Even a small, harmless cold, we are not happy. What to speak of, the horrible disease like, cancer or, or dementia or kind of those disease. We are all passing through this, pandemic of corona. You can, see so many interviews in the TV and everywhere. Do you think any corona patient saying, I was looking forward to the day when I was to be infected by corona and I'm enjoying my disease with the corona patient? No, when you have a diseased, disease is a horrible stage to pass through. When you're in a disease condition, you're always miserable. So this disease of identifying ourselves, it is a very horrible disease. And unless we are cured of this disease, we cannot be happy. We have to cure ourselves of this disease. And how do we cure ourselves? To understand that I am not this body, I am a spirit soul. So this is the foundation. This is the foundation of Bhagavad Gita. Before understanding all the higher truth, of Bhagavad Gita, first we have to understand the root of all our problem, which is to understand I am not this body, I am a spirit soul. Okay, now next few slides, it is, some of us can say, I know I'm a spirit soul, what is new? Many of us, when I first heard Bhagavad Gita, I thought, actually I know. My parents, they taught me, that, we are not this body, we are a spirit soul. I know this, we are not talking anything new today. So what is so new about it? So if I'm saying that I'm a spirit soul, what is so new about it? The counter question is that, does our action match our understanding? That, are we acting, with the understanding that I am a spirit soul? Actually, all our actions are based on our body. We are identifying our body and all our actions depending on the body. If you see Arjuna's all these questions, it is depending on the body. He had a compassion. He think I am this body and the other person is the body and he's miserable, so I have to be compassionate to him. I have to enjoy in this my life. So this body has to enjoy. So our action does not match to our understanding. So we give the example of on the cigarette packets, it says smoking kills. And people still smoke. So you ask a person who is smoking, he says, do you know smoking kills? He says, yes, I know that smoking kills. But has he understood that smoking kills instruction, that knowledge? Because his actions are not aligned with his knowledge. And that's why he's suffering. So we might be knowing that I am a soul, but our actions are not aligned with our understanding. That's why we are miserable. So just knowing that I am a spirit soul, it is not sufficient. Our action has to match our knowledge. Please remember this example of cigarette. Just knowing smoking kills is not sufficient. Our action has to align with your knowledge. It depends on the different levels of awakening. I'll just put 2 lines here. It is said, you cannot wake up a person pretending to be asleep. I'll repeat again. You cannot wake up a person pretending to be asleep. A person who does not know that he is not this body, he is a spirit soul, then you can tell him that, my dear friend, you're not this body, you're a spirit soul. Oh, is it? I didn't knew that. Okay, now I got this knowledge. Now I will act on this. My action will be based on I'm spirit soul. But a person who says, I already know that I am a soul. What can you teach that person? So it is equal to when somebody is pretending to be asleep. However much you try to wake him up, he'll never be awake because he's pretending. All your effort to wake him up has no meaning to him. Hmm? And the next one is this: life is more miserable when not fully awake or not fully asleep. Now, this is based on one of the uh, teachings of our scripture. It is in a scripture, it is said, in this world there are two people, they are happy. Two kinds of people, they are happy. Those who are in complete ignorance, those who are crazy, and those people who are self-realized. Those who are very much in knowledge, they've understood the Bhagavad Gita, they understood the purport, they understood the teachings of Krishna. Those self-realized people. It is only those middle people that they are not crazy, but they are still not self-realized. Only those people we are suffering. And you can see in this world, it is said, ignorance is bliss. Some people, they live whole life in ignorance and they're very happy. uh, like those people, who are smoking, they are ignorant, oh, I'm enjoying. They're not saying that in the future he will suffer. His lungs will collapse. But in those who have realized this, yes, smoking kills. I should not be smoking, and he leaves smoking. He is happy, But the person who knows that smoking kills, but still he is is smoking. For him, life is very difficult. He is not able to leave smoking, and still knowing that it is hurting him. So for us, it is too late for us now. We all know that we are not this body, we are a spirit soul. So better, match our action with that teaching of Krishna, that we are not this body, we are a spirit soul. And once our soul, that our action will match with that instruction, with that understanding, then we'll be self-realized. We will be happy in this world. So this is the end of our first part of our understanding of soul. It is just the beginning of understanding of the soul, who we are, and the fundamental understanding or instruction of Krishna, that we are not this body, we are a spirit soul. We will take a little pause here. If anybody any question, any comment, we can answer that, and then we'll go to the next part of the science of soul. So if anybody has any questions or comments, you can raise it now. I'll stop sharing the slide, and if you have any questions, you can ask now.
Prabhuji, thank you very much. You have beautifully explained today. Really, it was wonderful.
Oh, thank you, Mataji.
The example of how changes, we are the same person, and really they don't match from child to old age. Really, I never thought of this. That is too good. That was too good, really. The explanation and everything was perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mataji.
Wow.
Thank you. Okay. Nila, she's asking a question. Let me see. Is soul is same for other living beings? Yes, Nila. Soul is same for other living beings. Um, according to their desire to enjoy in this world, the soul, it starts migrating to other living bodies. So we have so many desires to enjoy in this world. So we cannot enjoy all the things in the particular body. For example, if I want to fly, I like flying, in the sky. Then this human body is not convenient for flying. The best you can do is, parachute or, some artificial way of flying. But you cannot fly like a eagle or like a sparrow, or, they are more expert in flying. So the soul in the bird is same as the soul in the human being. All souls are equal. Their identification or their aspirations have taken them into the different species of life. We'll cover that, those desires and aspirations, in a section called karma. So right now, today we are covering the soul part. Next will be the Paramatma, the super soul part, and then they come the karma. Why different actions and different bodies are there in this material world? And everybody is an individual soul. You know, the I'm my soul or me as a soul. It is not equal to my son. You know, he is different than me, and every living entity is an individual living soul. They are not. They are identical in nature. That will come in the next part. The characteristics of soul, but they are all individual soul. Okay, Deepika, each soul has got its own path and plan. Difficult part is. Oh, yeah. Deepika saying each soul has got its own path and plan. Difficult part is knowing your soul and your plan in this journey, how to recognize this soul. Like how Arjuna had a purpose and Krishna was there to guide him, show this purpose. Beautiful question, Deepika. That exactly is, when we start understanding learning Bhagavad Gita, this is a natural question that what is the purpose of this soul here, why am I in this world, what are the actions I have to do. That will cover in the section of karma, what kind of activities we should be doing in our life, what is the purpose we are doing certain activity, what is the purpose of doing this activity. All these questions will cover in the karma section. How to act in this world, how to find the purpose of our existence in this world. So you have to just bear with those, a few weeks, and we will cover those. I hope that's okay, Deepika. Okay. Okay. So we'll move on to our next slide. Next section, it is called understanding soul and a body. So far we just covered the introduction to soul, that we are not this body, we are a soul. This is the foundational understanding of Bhagavad Gita. Now let's understand the relationship between the body and the soul, and what exactly are the characteristics of the soul. So if you understood I am not this body, I am a spirit soul, then what is this soul looks like, what this soul is made up of. So we'll go a little deeper into the understanding the signs or the characteristics of the soul. So let me now share my second slide. Okay, so now in this slide, it might take a little longer. You might have to spend, we wanted to finish by 11, but I don't think we can finish by 11. It might go till about 11:30. So please bear with us and please stay till the end of these slides. So in this one, we understand the relationship between the body and the soul. So these are some of the shlokas that we have from Bhagavad Gita. I'll just do the translation. So what does Krishna talk about the soul? Krishna says, my dear Arjuna, you are not this body, you are a spirit soul. Same applies to all of us. It's a universal principle. So what does Krishna further say about the soul? So he's saying, for the soul, there is neither birth nor death at any time. It does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. So Krishna, he gives this, the wonderful understanding of soul. That soul, it is not like the body. Body is born at one time, and at a certain time it dies. He says body, it is unborn, it is ever existing, and the soul is not slain or does not get destroyed when the body gets destroyed. So this is from Bhagavad Gita chapter 2 shloka 20. And then next sloka, he talks about the eternality of the soul. The soul is ever existing. This body was born in 1972, 1970, some, we all had our, one birth date. Soul never has any birth date. It is ever existing, and it will be there eternally. Uh, it will start migrating to different bodies according to his desires and his aspiration, but the soul will always be there. The body will keep changing. So here in this shloka, chapter 2, verse 12, he says, "Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be." So Krishna is saying that, Arjuna, you ever existed. I am also ever existing. Krishna is a supreme Lord. He says even the God is ever existing. Then Krishna makes a fundamental and very wonderful point, that even those, all the people that you are seeing around, even they are also the soul. They are in the body of a particular, human species. But even they are the soul. Even these kings, all the people you seeing around, they are also ever existing. So in this world, we see living entities everywhere. So we have to understand they are passing through the different bodies, but they are ever existing. They were there in the past, they are existing now, and all of them will be existing eternally. Soul is never slain, it never gets destroyed. And then, Krishna goes on to establishing some more details about the soul. That soul, it is indestructible. So what does he say? He says, the soul can never be cut to pieces by any weapon, nor burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by the wind. Basically, no artificial process or weapon or anything of this world cannot harm the soul a bit. We see there are weapons like atomic weapons which causes tremendous fire. There's a water, it brings tsunami and destroys everything. But any weapon or anything of this world of material phenomena, it cannot change or it cannot slay, it cannot hurt the soul at all. It cannot, it has no power. And then Krishna says something more. He says, this individual soul is unbreakable and insoluble and can be neither burnt nor dried. He is everlasting, present everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same. So many things are talked about soul here. I've kind of summarized in the next few slides. I will not go in detail there. And the next slide, Krishna says, it is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, and immutable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. So Krishna says three things. Soul is invisible, inconceivable, and immutable. Invisible means it cannot be, you cannot see the soul through your material eyes. Inconceivable, it is not, it cannot be bound by our material understanding or imagination. It cannot be conceived within our material understanding. And immutable, it cannot be changed ever. Soul is ever individual, always individual. It cannot be changed. So whatever Krishna has spoken so far, because it's a crash course, I've tried to put into some bullet points, so you can understand what Krishna has spoken so far. We can, in one slide, we can see as a bird's eye view. So these are the characteristics of soul, what Krishna has described in these shlokas. So first of all, soul is a spirit. It's not a matter, it's a spirit. We can talk more about difference between matter and spirit, but maybe some other time, because in a part of a crash course, we cannot do that. And soul is conscious. It's not a dead thing, it is very conscious. Third thing is soul is active. Soul is not passive. Soul cannot stay at one place doing nothing. We can say, how about meditation? So even in meditation, the soul, it is focusing on the Paramatma, is trying to focus on the Paramatma, trying to understand the Paramatma. So soul is always active. Soul is never, not doing anything. It is always active. And soul has no change. You cannot cut to pieces. You cannot cut pieces one soul into two souls, or you cannot merge two souls into one soul. It does not happen. Soul is always soul. It cannot be destroyed. It cannot be dried. It cannot be burnt. It cannot be changed. So there is no change whatsoever. Ever means ever, not in the past, in the future, or in the present. It never changes. And now we'll put this into the one Sanskrit word. It is called Sata Chit Ananda. The soul is described as Sachidananda. It is a Sanskrit word. It is made up of three words: Sata, Chitta, Ananda. So this is the characteristic of the soul as described in Bhagavad Gita. Sata means eternal. Soul is eternal. It is no birth, no death. And Chitta, full of knowledge. It is conscious, active, never changes. So it is full of knowledge. Soul is not ignorant. It is full of knowledge. And Ananda, soul is joyful. The inherent characteristics of the soul, it is always joyful. Then you might ask a question, then why we feel pain? So the answer to all, after all the understanding all these things, you have so many questions, but try to apply that foundational understanding of Bhagavad Gita. I am not this body, I am a spirit soul. If the soul by nature is joyful, full of bliss, then why am I feeling pain? Because you are acting with the understanding that I am this body, then you are miserable. But if you act with the understanding that I am this soul, my dear friends, the life completely changes when we change our consciousness. When our activities are based on understanding that I am this soul, then things completely change. You might be doing the same activity that you have been doing all the time, but because your activities are now based on the understanding that I am a spirit soul, that the results are different. We'll take those practical examples at the time of karma section. So this is the whatever Krishna has explained so far. This is the summary. The characteristics of soul. Soul is a spirit, conscious, active, and no change. The soul is described as Sachidananda, Sata, Chitta, Ananda. Soul is eternal, Sata. It is Chitta, full of knowledge, and Ananda. It is always joyful. So this is the characteristics of the soul. Now, what is the size of the soul? So Sata Bhagasya. So it is, Krishna says, it is 1/10,000 tip of the hair. So we all have a hair. If you take one hair and take the tip of the hair and make a 10,000 part of the tip of the hair, that is the size of the soul. So in every living entity, whether it is an elephant or a human or a giant bird or any animal or even a bacteria or a small worm, everybody has a soul. And the soul size of the soul is the 1/10,000 tip of the hair. That is the size of the soul. Now this is the information given in Bhagavad Gita. Now where does the soul reside? Where is the location in my body? Where does soul reside? Is in brain? It is in, and where exactly it is? So the location of the soul is in heart. The soul resides in the heart. But because soul is conscious, you can feel the presence of the soul throughout your body. Because soul is conscious, that soul existence, the presence of the soul in the heart makes our whole body conscious. Even if our, the most insignificant part of our body, like the, small finger on the smallest toe in our leg, Even a pin prick is there, you feel that sensation. So because the soul is there in the heart, our whole body is conscious. The example is given that when the sun is there in the sky, you see light everywhere. Everything is bright. Similarly, because of the soul is there in the heart, we feel conscious. We feel our existence as a conscious being. So this is the characteristic of the soul. It is 10,000 tip of the hair and is residing in the heart of our body. Now, these are some of the things which are already covered. I'll just go very quickly. So in 223, Krishna says soul cannot be harmed by weapon, fire, water, wind. We covered that. In 224, he says soul is unbreakable, insoluble, everlasting, everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, eternally the same. So this is a summary. And in 25 saying invisible, inconceivable, and immutable. So this is the characteristics of the soul. Now we move on to the next section, the characteristics of the body. Because we are all conscious of our body. So what is the characteristics of body according to Bhagavad Gita? So the body, the first is that it is matter. Body is not a spirit, it is matter. And matter by nature it is dead. Matter, it is not conscious, it is dead. And it is static. Matter, unless spirit moves the matter always is at the same place. For example, a stone. The stone, it is always stay at one place unless somebody moves it. Or always, some other force is applied on this stone. Otherwise, it is always remains static. And soul is completely opposite to the nature of the body is completely opposite nature of the soul. So it is temporary. The body, it is temporary. It is born at certain time, it stays for some time, and it is dead. So it is temporary. It is not permanent. So it is no satta. We said satta, chitta, ananda. So our body is not satta, and it is ignorant. So because it's a dead matter, it has no inbuilt intelligence into it. For example, the body we say it is ignorant. We all sometimes do exercise to keep the body fit. Now that is a decision taken by the person in the residing in the body, saying to keep this body fit, you have to do some exercise. But the body itself, a dead body, a body where the soul does not exist, that body will not say, okay, to be fit, I have to do exercise. So body itself, it is ignorant. It has no knowledge. It is a very ignorant, dead, static matter. So body is full of ignorance. And it is miserable. There is no ananda. A dead matter, you see any dead things in this world, it just starts decaying. If you just just take the example of this body. As soon as the soul leaves this body, you keep this body at one place, it starts decaying, it smells bad, it looks horrible. So it is miserable, nirananda. The soul has the body is miserable. And we can say, but while the soul is there inside, it is still miserable. Yes, it is still miserable. You sleep in the night. The next day morning, you take bath, because while we were sleeping in the night, the body started decaying. You have to start, take your body, clean it, take some medicine, do some exercise to keep the body fit. But matter by itself, it starts decaying. So the body itself is miserable by nature. So this is what Krishna talks about body in Bhagavad Gita. It is a dead matter and is static. It is temporary, ignorant, and miserable. It is completely opposite to the nature of the soul. And the characteristics of the body. The body, it is the soul, it never changes, but the body, it always changing. So Krishna explains there are 6 changes which happens in the body. There is a birth, then there is a growth, then it remains for some time in that grown up condition, then it reproduces, and then it starts dwindling, and then at the final end it dies. Now this is true to any living body in this world. Rather than going to other species, look at our own body. We all have taken birth in this world, or we are born from our mothers. We were small, 6 pound, 8 pound, 10 pound baby, certain size. Then we grew up into the grown-ups, 5 feet, 6 feet tall, human beings. Then we remain young for some time. Then we reproduce, we reproduce children. And then those beings, those children, they have birth, they grow, they remain, and they also reproduce. And after reproduction, slowly this body starts going old. It dwindles slowly. Our senses start becoming dull. We hear less, taste less, see less, can't move properly. We are understanding, or we cannot learn things very nicely. It starts losing memory. It starts dwindling. At the end, when the body is useless, the body dies. The soul thinks this. The soul considers this body not usable. The soul leaves this body, and the body dies. So this is the characteristics of the body. 6 characteristics. It's got birth. It grows for some time. It remains for some time. It reproduces. Then it dwindles, and finally it dies. In our human species, this change happens between the period of about 80 to 100 years. There are other species like tortoise and all. They have the age of 100 or 200 years, but still they have to go through this process. There are some fishes in the ocean. They live for 500 years, 1000 years. They also have to go through the same process. There are giant sequoia trees, in the California. In the trees, it's same thing. They are in a seed format. They have a birth. They grow for some time. They remain. They produce so many fruits and flowers and reproduce. And slowly they dwindle. And some part it dies. It might take 5,000 years, 10 years for them to die, but these changes are happening. So every living entity, every body in this world, has to go through these 6 changes. So now let's do comparison of the soul and the body. The soul is a spirit and the body is a matter. The soul is conscious, but the body is dead. The soul is always active, the body is static. And then soul is Sachidananda, eternal, full of knowledge, joyful. The body is temporary, ignorant, and miserable. And this is the last comparison. It is very important. The soul has no change, but the body goes through the change. Now, my dear friends, you just take a pause and you can see the body and the soul, they are completely opposite to each other. And when, as a soul, you are a soul, but you identify yourself as the body, which is completely opposite to the nature of the soul, that's when all our problems starts. All the root cause of all our problem is that we are identifying ourselves with this body, which is completely opposite to the soul, our real nature. We are by nature, the soul by nature, it is eternal, full of knowledge, full of joyful. But we are trying to identify with this body, which is temporary, It is full of ignorance, it is miserable, and it is going through so many changes. But the soul never goes through the change. And that's where we start suffering in this world. Okay, so please note this point. Why we suffer in this world? Because we are identifying with the body, which is absolutely opposed to the nature of the soul, which is actually our real nature. Okay, now let's move on to the next. Actually, this is a little information slide. Um, uh, what kind of different bodies are there in this world. Now, this is the information given in Bhagavad Gita, that there are 900,000 species living in aquatics in the water. There are 2 million species of trees, plants, and vegetables. There are 1.1 million species of worms and reptiles, 1 million species of birds, 3 million species of animals, and 400,000 species of humans. Now you can say humans, I thought humans are only one. No, there are 400,000 species of humans. We can say, there are different, there are our bodies are different. People living in Africa, in Antarctica, sorry, Arctic or Scandinavia or Europe or China, we have a different, body. So there are different characteristics are there, even on the planet Earth. And actually there are, the higher planetary system, the planets above Earth, the people living on, there are 7 different planetary systems above Earth. They have a different set of body. And there are other planetary systems below Earth, they have a different set of, species of humans. So there are different sets of human bodies, the living bodies are there. And altogether, there are 8.4 million species of life are there. There are different types of body. In those who are from Indian background, we must have heard from our elders, 84 lakh yoni. So these are the different bodies are there in the world. It is like in our modern terms, these are the different models of car. Depending on what our desires are there, we choose the car. So if our desire is to do just a plain sailing into a cycle and small travel, then you have a cycle. Or if you want to go very fast, you go the aeroplane. So different cars and different vehicles are there. These are the various examples are there. So this slide is just for the information. And these are spread across various planets, these species of life. And then let's now what is the composition of this body? What is body, our human or every bodies are mentioned. This is what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. The earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Altogether, these 8 constitute my separated material energies. So our body actually is made up of these 8 different items. So this is constitute the body. So the body, now we understood various different bodies are there. Now how these bodies are constituted, scientifically how they are made up of. So then Krishna says that we have a gross body and subtle body. The gross body, which we can think, we can touch and feel, but there is a subtle body, which is beyond, the seeing or perceiving. So the gross body is made up of earth, water, fire, air, and ether. These are called Panch Mahabhut. The 5 gross element. So earth is the grossest, and the subtler than the earth is water. Then subtler than the water is fire, and subtler is air, and the space. Space is even subtler than the air. So these are the 5 gross elements, which is composed, which makes this gross body that we have. So in our body, we have gross matter. Then we have some water. It says our body is 65% or 60% is water. Then there is a fire. The fire of hunger. If we have a 37.5 degree temperature, then we are normal. Otherwise, we are not normal. And the dead man is very cold. Or in the corona time, everybody is taking temperature. So if there is some fire, you are alive. So we have fire, and we need air. Without air, we cannot survive. So actually there are various types of air are there in our body, not just the oxygen. There are various types of airs are there, which makes this body workable. And there is a space. The space is also required for the constituting the body. But then Krishna says that we have a subtle body. Now this probably it was a news to me when I first read it. So our subtle bodies consists of mind, intelligence, and false ego. So this is the subtle body. So these are the mind is subtler than the space, intelligence is more subtler than the mind, and the ego or the identity, it is even the more subtler than the intelligence. So let's now analyze this subtle body in a more I think the gross body everybody understands, but we'll spend some little time on understanding the subtle body. So subtle body first is the mind. So what does mind do? Mind is thinking, feeling, and willing. All are thinking, feeling, willing. It is the function of the mind. And the characteristics of mind is chanchal, very, 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 very fast. That is so fast that right now we are sitting in our house. And you think of your, favorite place to do holiday. You just close your eyes and think about it. Immediately your mind goes to that place. It is so fast. It can go even beyond, the earthly planet. The mind, it is very fast, very chanchal. And mind is extremely difficult to control. Mind control, it is one of the most, difficult art to practice. You just sit down, say now next 10 minutes I'm going to think about, dahi vada or some pizza or something. See how many minutes you can think of it. Immediately think of pizza and then he says, oh, pizza, cheese and this, that. Mind just goes so many places. Mind cannot fix at one place for more than few seconds. This is very difficult to control. So someday, we'll talk about mind later on. Then there is the intelligence. Intelligence is the decision maker. When the body gets the information from, the eyes give certain information, the ear gives certain information, then the brain has the memory of past experience, and accordingly the intelligence gives the decision you should do now. So for example, say we like pizza, so when a pizza comes next to you, the intelligence says, oh, last time you ate pizza and it was a very nice experience. So the eyes gives the picture of pizza, the smell gives the the sensation of smell, then the mind says, oh, I had a very nice, brain says it was a nice experience, so mind says, okay, think, feel, I want this pizza, and then you want pizza, and the intelligence says, okay, considering all this information, it was a very nice pleasurable experience, so now eat the pizza. So the intelligence is a decision maker. But then you eaten 3 pizza, then the intelligence comes in the picture again, that last time you ate 2 pizza and you had an upset stomach, so now after 2 pizza you stop. But sometimes, not sometimes, many times, the mind overtakes the intelligence. Says, no, I know I suffered in the past, but this is so good. I will eat this 3rd pizza also. So intelligence is a decision maker, but many times the mind overtakes the decisions taken by the intelligence. But intelligence his job is to decision maker, and ideally, in a good condition, in a good intelligent being will always, the intelligence will control the mind, supposed to control the mind, but mostly our mind takes over our intelligence, and again that causes the problem. In the next slide we'll understand how this creates a problem. The next 3rd element of our subtle body is ego, or it is in Sanskrit it is called ahankar. Now, actually, it means identity. What are we identifying with? Hmm? And the actually it is called false ID, mithya ahankar. Hmm? So let's take a pause here and go back to our earlier discussion. We are not this body, we are a spirit soul. But when the soul, it is covered by this element of false ID, that you are this body, then your problem starts developing from there on. But when this false ID, it is replaced with the real ID that I am not this body, I am a spirit soul, then you are in a healthy condition. But as soon as the soul is covered by this false ego that I am this body, then the intelligence and mind and all the other coverings, they wrap around the soul, and then all the problem starts. But the first problem starts with this false identity, and in Sanskrit it is called mithya ahankar. Mithya means false, ahankar means identity. So our eternal identity is that Sashwat Ahankar. What is our eternal identity or real identity is that I am a spirit soul. So false ID is I am this body. The real ID is that I am the soul. Okay, so this is about the subtle body. Now, how does the gross and the subtle body and the soul, body and soul work together? So we understand it through the process called death. So what is a death? Now the death is that gross body is not usable. For example, in the body, you have a cancer, or you get a stroke, or the body has certain damage in the body. So the soul finds this body not suitable for its desires, to enjoy, or to various aspirations that the soul has. Then the soul decides to leave that body. So when the soul leaves the body, so soul leaves the gross body, but the soul is carried by the subtle body. Now please try to understand what exactly is happening when we die. When we die, we have the two bodies, gross body and subtle body. So the gross body dies. The earth, water, fire, air and ether, that is the gross body. It dies, it is not usable. But then a subtle body, mind, intelligence and false ego, it carries the soul to another gross body. That basically is um, the process of death. So thing to understand is that the subtle body, it does not die at the time of the death of gross body. It is continuing in the next body, next gross body. Now how do we understand this? The example of computer hardware, software. Now we all are using computers. Now I'm just going to give, hope everybody has ever used a software called Microsoft Word. Now that Word document, it's a software. It's a subtle body. The computer is the gross body. Now you can, when the computer, it is breaks down, but you have that soft body, the Word document. If it is you can take this soft Word document, put it into another computer, and you can see the same thing. What we are seeing in the other computer, you can see the same thing in the other computer. So the time of death, the gross body dies, but the subtle body carries the soul to the another gross body. So this is practically the simple example we can understand with the process of death. So at the time of death, both gross body, subtle body and soul, they all work together, and the soul is carried to the next body. Okay, now let's put all this what we have discussed so far with the analogy of a chariot. I don't know, nowadays we do not use chariot, but in the old days, the chariot was, there are horses tied to the carriage, and in the carriage, passenger, it is he rides on that carriage. Then there is the horse driver, who controls the horse, the carriage driver. So our gross body, it is has got various senses. So in this picture, you see, there are 5 horses are there. So there are five senses, eyes, ears, smell, nose, taste, and touch. And the mind is supposed to control these senses. And mind, it is controlled by the intelligence. And who is the passenger in this chariot? The soul. The soul living in this body, it is riding in this chariot, and this chariot has an intelligence, it has got mind, and it has got this gross body made up of the various senses. So this basically is the chariot of the body. So let's take it very slowly. The chariot, the whole chariot is our body. The soul is residing inside. The chariot is the body. The passenger is the soul. The charioteer is the intelligence. And the reins, the ropes, which is the intelligence, are controlling the senses through the mind. This is the mind. The reins are the mind. And the horses, they are the senses. So please understand this picture very nicely. And the next slide is more interesting. So, why there is no peace in this world? So we'll understand with this chariot of our body. First of all, senses are out of control, the horses. We identify ourselves with this body, and this body has various senses, and we are always trying to gratify our senses. So eyes wants to see something, nose wants to smell something, ears want to hear various musics and various sounds. The touch wants, opposite bodies touch, or some good clothes, every senses want something for itself. So the horses, the senses, they're out of control. Now in the chariot, if the horses are out of control and all the horses are trying to go in different direction, the ride becomes very bumpy. Ride becomes very uncomfortable. So in this chariot, the horses are out of control. Our body is out of control. And mind is not able to control the senses. Our mind, thinking, feeling, and willing, it is supposed to control the senses. But the mind is not able to control the senses. And top of that, intelligence is weak to control the mind. Our intelligence, it is so weak. It is supposed to control the mind, but it is not controlling the mind. And because mind is not controlled, the senses are out of control. And poor soul is suffering, no direction. The soul says, charioteer, take the chariot on the left side, and the senses are saying, no, we'll go right side. So this poor soul, it is the passenger in the chariot, but the chariot is out of control. It has got no direction. The intelligence is out of control, mind is out of control, senses are out of control, and poor soul has no direction. So what is the result? Chariot is out of control. The chariot is going here and there. No direction. It is an uncontrolled chariot. I don't know. If you've ever been to a car where the brakes are not working, the steering is not working, and it is going anywhere and everywhere. Do you think you will have a very nice, comfortable journey in that car? I don't think so. So when our mind is not in control, intelligence is not in control, senses are not in control, we feel the journey, the soul's journey in this body, it is completely miserable. So the soul is suffering in this chariot because everything is out of control. So this is just our one body, one person, he is out of control. Similarly, every other living entity, every other human being, even they are out of control. uh, and they have their own chariot. Everybody's in going with different directions. uh, 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 and everybody's out of control. Just imagine, in a playground, there are so many cars are there, so many chariots are there, and they are all out of control. Everybody's bumping into each other. uh, the person, I'm saying, I'm this, person so and so. I wish my, my neighbor, he should work according to how I feel. So everybody's out of control. Everybody's trying to control each other. So if one person is out of control, and all others also are out of control, and then, when everything is out of control, how can there be a peace in this world? What is the root cause? Everybody is identifying themselves as this body, not as a spirit soul. That is the root cause. Okay, we carry forward. We have got a it's already 11:30 now. I'll take 5 minutes more and then we stop today. So in human species is the best power to reason. In human species, we have got this special ability to question, why am I suffering? In other species, they have not this ability. They are just uh, driven by the strong senses of enjoyment. Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. But in the human species, we have the ability to question, why am I suffering? Why should I suffer? How do I stop suffering? So we have this ability to reason. And we can come out of this horrible condition from the human birth, in the human birth only. So if you want to come out of this cycle of these horrible conditions of birth and death, then it can only is possible through the human birth. And human birth is very rare. And law of karma applies to human only. I would like to speak some more, but because the short of time, I have to skip this slide. And now this is the last slide. It is a very simple slide, but it's a question for all of us here. Okay, and everybody has to answer. Now I will see whether I'm able to put the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita the way it should be, if you're able to answer this question properly or not. Okay, what is the relationship between soul and a body? Okay, so this is this picture with this nice gentleman. It is riding a nice, green car. So in this car, who is the soul and who is the passenger? Anybody like to say who is the soul and who is the passenger? Sorry, who is the soul and who is the body? Who is the passenger and what is the car? Okay, I'll answer it myself only. Maybe it's late now. The soul is the passenger. Okay.
Yeah.
Passenger, the driver is the passenger, and the body is the car. Yeah. So as we said earlier, the soul is residing in the body. Yeah. So the soul is the driver or the passenger, and the car is the body. Okay, is clear to everyone? Anybody has any difficulties to understand this one? I hope not. And then this is the examination question. Okay, which one is true? Car to serve passenger or passenger to serve car? Which one is true? Maybe one or two devotees can answer this. Which is the right statement? Car to serve passenger or passenger to serve car?
Car to serve passenger.
Car to serve passenger. Okay. Anybody else wants to have any other opinion about the second statement? It's a simple question. Who is supposed to serve whom? Okay. So, okay, I'll give the answer. Okay, but keep the answer in your head. Whatever you answer, the real answer is car to serve passenger. We have the car, so our we as a person, we want to go from point A to B. That is the purpose, that is our desire. To fulfill that desire, we take the help of a car. So the car is serving the driver or the passenger. So if the car is not right, if the car is damaged, the passenger or the driver will buy another car and start fulfilling his desire. So that is actually the right combination. The driver is important or the passenger is important. Car is not important. Car is important till just that level that car is able to assist in driver's mission of going from point A to point B. That is till that level the car is important. But if car is not is damaged, then you can buy the another car. It's not the other way around. The car has to be done very nicely. Make it very sparkly, clean, absolutely nice. And the driver, if he gets some disease and he dies, buy another driver, get another driver. It's completely other way around. So please, the conclusion of our whole today's session is that the car to serve passenger. In simplifying this, the soul is the passenger, the car is the body. The body should serve the soul. But the problem in our life is that we are identifying ourselves with this body. We are thinking this body is important. We do not have even the information about the soul. So we are just looking after this car, this body, and we are not looking after this soul. And that's where all the problem starts. The root cause of all our problem is this misidentification. We think I am this body, I am the car, and the soul is not important, or soul does not exist only. And then, with that, this false identity, we start taking decisions in our life. And that's where all problem starts. So this is the first teaching of Bhagavad Gita. I am not this body, I am a spirit soul. Once we understand this one, then all our problems we can very easily conquer. So we stop here. We will now give some time for if you have any questions to ask. I will stop sharing now. How do I? Just a second. I'll stop sharing now, and then